Hello, community. I'm here by myself today, so I just thought I would make a little recording because I wanted to introduce some concepts. I want to introduce some concepts that that I think, now that we've learned how to use the back of the diaphragm, now that we've learned how to allow that diaphragm to recruit other diaphragms in the body. Now that we've learned how to use those diaphragms to feel our body expand a little bit in all directions, and when we inhale, and collapse a little bit in all directions when we exhale, I am wanting to introduce. I wanted to show you basically some ways that we can actually use this to have a really different experience of the physical body. That's ridiculously easy to access. So I wanted to start talking about your body's hydraulic system. And to do that, I'm going to show you, I've just pulled some videos off of the YouTube that I want to share with you in order to do that. And so I'm going to start with some screen shares here. And we're going to start with taking a look at how to build a simple hydraulic system. So that's what this video is. There's a gazillion of these little sort of educational mechanical videos online. And here's one that just shows how you can use a tube and a couple syringes. And you can use water. Actually, interestingly, you can also use air for the same purposes. That would be a pneumatic system as opposed to a hydraulic system. But this one is a hydraulic system, so I'm going to let you watch this 34-second video here.
I'll show you how to make a simple hydraulic system out of 2 plastic syringes, some vinyl tubing, a cube with holes, water, and hot glue. Begin by completely filling 1 syringe with water and then attaching the vinyl tubing to the nozzle. Push water through the tubing to remove the air and then fill the syringe back up again. Attach the other end of the tubing to the second syringe and try it out. Spread hot glue on the end of the plunger and then affix a cube with holes like this, and you're done.
Not really sure how to get rid of that guy. Hold on, let me try to do that again. Well, actually, we don't even really need to. But you get the point. Actually, let me pull it back and
In this video, I'll
make him quiet as he goes through this. So what you see is that so first of all, he is filling the system with fluid, right? With an incompressible substance. And then he is he has a pump on each end. So each syringe is a pump. And oops, let me bring that back there a second. Gosh, I wish I could get rid of this thing. I don't know how to get rid of that. Well, it doesn't matter. So once this is filled, because it's a non-compressible substance, when he squeezes this end of the syringe, he pushes the water out of it and it fills up the other syringe and causes the plunger to actually be lifted, right? And let's pull that back a little bit so you can see again. So once this is filled, you saw that when he pushed down, the other side came up, right? So that's one little video I want you to see, just for some concepts here. So basically, when you have a closed system containing an incompressible substance, either incompressible gas or incompressible fluid, and you change the pressure on one side, it's going to have an effect on the entire system. So now let's take a look at, and this is kind of cool because you can see that using a similar thing. So this again here is the closed system. Here's a syringe over here, set up in the same way, and a syringe over here. And what this person is going to do is they're going to push down. This is the pump, compressing this liquid on this end. The liquid is going to be pushed through the system and be used to And this right here is a reservoir, right? So you can draw more fluid into the system. So you can pressurize the system. You can, and that gives you the potential energy. And he's using these two syringes to lift this big pile of bricks. That's pretty groovy, huh? Great. So that's one aspect. Now I'm going to show you a couple other videos that I think are really interesting. So this one's just worth watching. And now remember, the diaphragms in your body can act like any diaphragm in the universe, because what gives the diaphragm its special properties is the amount of tension in the sheet and the rigidity of the frame. So here is a diaphragm. It's a jellyfish.
Dancing ballet of the jellyfish. So graceful, so efficient. Scientists have long known how economic jellyfish locomotion is, but a new study exposes a hidden energy-saving trick that the creatures use to get around the ocean. It looks like jellyfish are kicking to move around, but really, they and an unrelated and horrifying creature called a lamprey actually pull themselves through the water. Look at this video the researchers made. The red part on the lamprey is high pressure, normal for a critter cutting through the water, but the blue stuff, that's low pressure. It turns out that the undulations of jellyfish and lamprey bodies create low pressure vortices, like you'd find in the eye of a hurricane
Vortices,
or tornado.
or
That
underneath
resulting
your
low pressure
diaphragms.
sucks in water, helping propel the creatures. And the suction is so powerful that it's the dominant force in the animal's forward thrust. Let's see your Dyson do that. Because jellyfish and lampreys are so distantly related, the researchers reckon that this trick of physics
It's
may
kinda
be
funny right
widespread in the animal kingdom, and not just in the oceans. Bird wings may actually exploit it as well, giving the creatures an extra little kick. And the discovery could work its way into machines.
Anyway, do you think that this could be anywhere else within the animal kingdom? Like in every diaphragm in our bodies? Yes, it is. So now I'm going to show you a couple of other things. This is no particular affinity for Taylor Swift, but I really liked so we're not even going to play her here. We're just going to look at what happens. These are those air tube men that you may have seen. They were considered high art at one moment for some Olympics, maybe 20 years ago or something. Now they're just used outside of gas stations and car dealerships, at least here in the United States, to, sell more products. So, but what I want you to see is these are air tubes, and what they're doing is they are blowing air into them with fans that are located down here. And you can see how filling these air tubes with pressure gives them structure and movement. It actually creates movement, right? So you fill the air tube with pressure, it fills up, stands up, and if the air pressure changes, then the structure will collapse. Okay, and so you get the idea here. And then I've got another. I need a different screen here. Where's my? Let me stop this share, and let me give you a different share. Here we go. This is actually more of, oops, let me make this, oh, here it is. Let me make this guy bigger. So this is more, again, a pneumatic system rather than a hydraulic system, but the principles are essentially the same. So take a look at what happens. I get rid of this. I get rid of this little guy. Playback speed. I guess I don't know how to do that. Maybe if I make it bigger. There we go. Let's try it like this. But you can see that you just blow air into this party favor. And when you do, the party favor elongates. And then when you release the air, it collapses. Right? So we are changing the pressure in the system to create movement and structure. Now, let me take you to, let me go on to the next piece of this. Let me stop this share. How are we doing on time here? Oh, I think we're going to be okay. I'm introducing some concepts here. Now we're going to move on to, I guess that's, oh, yes, I want to screen share a couple of images with you this time. Where did they go? Hold on. Ah, here we go. All right, so now what we're looking at is, these are just, this is, you know, I've just Googled anatomy trains. Some of you may a lot of you I'm sure are very familiar with this organization, especially people who are rolfers or structural integration people. And nod to all of you out there. Anatomy Trains has done some really good work, really kind of defining a lot of these fascial planes in the body. What I don't think they realize is that these fascial planes, and what constitutes a fascial plane? So every muscle, let's just talk about the muscles for our purposes right now. Let me stop this share for a second so I can talk to you a little better. Every muscle in the body is encased in fascia, right? This slippery substance, that makes it very easy for the muscles to slide past each other, okay? So let's say this is our muscle here encased in fascia, and this is our muscle here encased in fascia. Where these two muscles are up against each other, they're not actually right against each other. The fascia surrounding them is up against each other, right? So you would say that the space, or really is a potential space between these two muscles encased in fascia, this potential space is a fascial plane, okay? Now, what we've discussed is that the way that fluid returns to your circulation, at first, it's between the spaces between the cells, but then it moves very easily between the fascial planes. So this potential space in between the muscles is a place where fluid can travel very efficiently back towards your two drains, which are here and here. Now, there are many muscles that, have different connections to each other, or not, they're not connections, but they're places where they interface. There might be one this way, there might be one that way, and there might be another one this way. Now, again, this potential space in between the muscles is a place where fluid can move. So, and if for whatever reason, let's say the fascia is restricted, and that often happens as a result of inflammation in the body, and that inflammation sitting around because we're not breathing well, so we're not sucking those inflammatory mediators contained in the extracellular fluids. We're not sucking those fluids back efficiently to the drains. If those inflammatory mediators sit around, eventually what happens, one of the things that happens with inflammation is that it stimulates the formation of fibrin bridges. It's basically like scar tissue. And what will happen is that little fibrin cross bridges will form in places that they shouldn't be. So you'll get adhesions, what we call adhesions between these fascial planes, right? And the more adhesed they are, the more restricted we are in our motion, right? Because these muscles should be able to move and slide and glide relative to each other freely. That's what we would like. But if they're adhesed, then when this one moves, it's yanking this one this way or that way, or, in ways that we don't want. And in some cases, it may be that because these are stuck together, this one can't really get to where it needs to go at all, right? And you may find, I'm so unflexible, you may say. Now, this is exacerbated, this is exacerbated, and therefore exacerbates a situation, because if they're stuck together, that also means that the fluid is not able to move through them, right? You get the fibrin bridges basically form dams, obstructions to the movement of fluid through the tissues. When this happens, and you get an accumulation of fluid in this fascial planes, now not only do you have a restriction of the fascia, but you also have this like incompressible fluid congestion that creates stiffness, like a plant stem is stiff when it's full of fluid, which again is great if you're a plant stem. It's not so great if you're human tissue stuffed with waste-laden lymphatic fluid. So what so when this so what I want to say, so we've discussed this a little bit here and there, but what I think the anatomy trains people have done, and other people have, I don't know who what were like the first people, the original, gangsters on this, who should get all of the credit, but it's not me. But when they mapped out a lot of these fascial planes, and so I want to say that it's somebody, and I think that they've done a lot of really great work. I really like their books, but I'm not a historical expert on this stuff, so I don't really know exactly who to give all that credit to of mapping some of this stuff out. But but I think that they have some really nice images, and let me screen share with you here. Some really nice images of, and yes, this is what I'm sharing. Okay, so they have mapped out like different lines in the body. They call them, I think they call them lines. But you can see that let's make this one bigger. Why isn't that bigger? Okay, here we go. Let's look at this one. So you can see that they've mapped out that this is a fascial line here that goes up the back. And this is a good one to use because we'll actually use another little video to show how to use the hydraulic system. And I might actually try to demonstrate this here too. So, so these are fascial lines that you can see in the body, right? So here's the superficial back line. Here is the superficial, point without bringing up that thing, but I can't. Here's the superficial front line of this guy over here, this guy. And these are spiraling lines, but let's just focus on these two. Let's make it simple for us right now. Okay, let's focus. So here's a superficial back line. Here's a superficial front line. Now, these are kind of sort of summations of how all of these different muscles create the pathways of least resistance to fluid motion. And I don't think they think about it that way, but I want you to think about it this way. You can think of these lines as pathways of least resistance to fluid motion in the body. Now, remember, fluids in the body carry charged particles, and charged particles moving through a pathway, a circuit, a wire, a tube, a whatever, when you have charged particles moving through a circuit, you create an electromagnetic field, you create a current. So when you have these lines in the body, it's kind of a summation, of the way the various muscles are intersecting, and these fascial planes are basically creating a conduit, a channel, a pathway for fluid to move through the tissues. So, and I picked up another one here. This is somebody else's. I don't know who this is. But here's another person endeavoring to map out these lines. Now, for today, we are just going to take a look at this front line here and this back line here. We can also use these spiraling lines. We can also use these side lines, but just for the moment, we're gonna focus on these this front and this back line. Okay, and now let me stop this share. So I just want you to use these images for imagining, wow, this is a way that I can, using my diaphragms, which are like the jellyfish, which are like the syringe, they're capable of changing the pressure in various parts of the system, not only increasing the pressure, but also creating vortices, right? these are pathways through which I can drive fluid in the body. All right, and now I'm going to show you, this is a video I made. First, let me get rid of the screen share now, but just keep that in your mind. So this is a video I made a long time ago, trying to explain some of this stuff. Oh, I hope the glare. Let me close that curtain. Hang on a second. Oh, okay. We are actually, I guess, getting another tornado warning here in Ithaca. Weather's been a bit crazy. All right, so I think you'll be able to see this better now. Oh, maybe turn it down a little bit. Okay. There we go. It's still not great, but I think it's good enough. It's good enough. Okay. If I knew how to make all this technology work, I would just pull it up on the screen, but I don't. So let me press play. So here, so let me explain a couple things. The way we normally think about movement of the body is that we think that a muscle shortens, right? And when the muscle shortens, because it's attached to two bones, it's going to draw bones together. So if I shorten my bicep by contracting it, remember, muscles can contract and muscles can relax. That means they can shorten and they can elongate. So if I contract this muscle, right, it's going to draw this part of this bone towards the origins of the bicep. If I contract the bicep, it's going to pull the arm towards, it's going to pull my lower arm towards my upper arm. It's going to approximate bones, okay? Now, if I am yanking on a single muscle in the body, my autonomic nervous system, just had a moment of appreciation, love for the autonomic nervous system. My autonomic nervous system will detect the fact that I am yanking on a bone, that a single muscle is yanking. And when it detects that, what it's going to do is it's going to inhibit. It's going to inhibit this so-called opposing muscle back here. It's going to inhibit this tricep here. It's easier to show this. So if I yank here, this gets inhibited so it can elongate, so that they're not fighting each other, so that the muscles are not both, pulling on the same side, right? Now, if I yank on these tendons over here, I will pull this side of the bone towards this side of the bone. So it will approximate over here. But in order to do that, my autonomic nervous system has to relax the bicep. Okay. Now, that is one way of moving the body. And I'm going to propose to you that it works. And that is the way that most people move. But I'd like to just offer out there that it is not the most efficient way, or not the most efficient. It's certainly not the most fun way, and it's not going to be the way that is going to optimize the mechanics and the full glory of the human body. So, and in this little video, I'm going to there's the baby. Hold on. So, so when so here I am doing just that. I'm going to fold forward by contracting my psoas muscles. When I contract my psoas muscle here, which is deep on the front of the back wall of the body, it's going to yank my spine down towards the insertion point, which is on the inside of my upper thigh. So here we go again. There he is. Hang on. Okay. So let's look at what happens. Oh, shoot. Let me try to get the best. There we go. That's not terrible. Okay. So I'm going to show you. Here I go. I'm going to fold forward and reach for the ground. And when I come back up, I'm going to have to inhibit the psoas and yank with like my glutes and such on the back side of my body in order to yank myself back up. Now, let's see, is this a, So now I'm going to show you what another way of doing this. And I'm going to, here we go. Now I'm going to show you what this is like if let me back myself up here. I think this is the right video. Hopefully it is. So another way for me to do this, right? Because now that we've done right and left side breathing, you've learned that you can be very specific about where you generate pressure in your body. There's a diaphragm, but there's two hemidiaphragms, right? And with the right and left side breathing, what you found, let's not make me go away again. What we found is that we can actually fill up one side of the body preferentially to the other. And we've actually noticed that we will draw more air through one side than the other side when we do that, right? And when we relax that side preferentially, we feel that side of the body get a little smaller, right? And we felt that, oh, wow, it actually shifts me from one side to the other, just this tiny little bit. And remember, I said that there is a superpower in this tiny motion, and indeed there is. And it will take, I'm hoping to get an animator to help me explain this in a way that, I mean, if I had you here in real life, you could just put your hands on my body while you do this, and you'd be like, whoa, that's really weird. And then you could feel that you could do it yourself, and you will feel like, wow, that is really different. But I don't have that here. I don't have, I don't have the advantage of being able to have each one of you be able to feel this with yourself. Maybe maybe I'll make a trip to Europe and visit you all, or wherever it is you are, in order to allow you to make sure that everybody is able to feel this in the way I would like for people to be able to feel this. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting pressure in my whole system here. I'm going to fill the whole thing up. And then when I exhale, I'm going to selectively relax the front of my body. Now, remember, when you relax your diaphragm, you're creating a vortex underneath it. And that's not just true for the thoracic diaphragm. That's true for every diaphragm in the body. So if I engage my palm and I relax it, I'm actually going to create a vortex in my palm, right? So, and remember, we also said that every major joint complex in the body is stabilized, balanced, governed, and even functionally animated by at least one diaphragm. And because of that, that means that we can create an enormous number of vortices in our body, right? So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to relax the front half of my body. And as I relax the front half of my diaphragm, and as I do, I will feel that fluid level drop down the front of my body. And I want you to think of this like if you could imagine that a sailboat is sitting on the water, right? And the water level is draining out of whatever the sailboat is sitting in. As that water drains down, eventually that boat is gonna, like, if it plants down into the mud. This happened, there were some abandoned boats outside my office building, and so I've watched this happen. The rudder down there, that big fin down there, is going to plant in the mud, and as that water continues to drain, that boat will start to lean to the side as the water goes down, right? If the water came back up, it would cause the boat to right itself again. So similarly, as I exhale and allow the pressure to drain out of the front of my body, I'm going to allow my body, I'm not going to contract and yank my body forward. I'm going to allow the negative pressure on the front half of my body to draw my body forward, right? In particular, I am going to relax. Instead of yanking with my psoas muscles, I am going to relax very deeply into my hip crease. If I was to be more specific, maybe I'll grab my skeleton over there and show you what I mean. If I was to be more specific, I am relaxing into the front of my hip socket so that the bone itself, the femur, the thigh bone itself, is able to slide posterior in the hip socket, which will allow me to maintain the optimal fulcrum of motion there. But let me show you how all right, I'll do it like this, and then I'll show you the other one again so you can hopefully see a difference. So here, you're going to see me. I'm emptying, 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 and I'm emptying right there. As I empty, the body folds up. And look at what, now I'm almost all the way, I'm all the way exhaled. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to inhale on the back half, and I'm going to engage the muscles on the back half of the body to push me forward. And when it pushes me forward, I've now pressurized the back half of the body. When I release that pressure, so at this point, I'm going to inhale and I'm going to fill up. So I've emptied that front line of the body so that my body, like the party favor, folds up again, right? Then I'm going to inhale up the back half of my body and allow that to push, to drive myself. I'm filling up that back half, and it's going to, just like those air tubes, just like the party favor, it's going to drive my body forward with the pressure change, right? So it's going to fill my body up in the end range of motion. And you can do this. I'm hoping I can get an audience with Jill Leslie at some point so we can try this with some of the various exercises, not just the ones she pointed out, but some other ones that we've done in this class. And I think you're going to find that it's very easy to use this principle. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fill up the back line. I've emptied the front line and collapsed the front, and I'm going to fill up the back line here. Let's show this. So I'm going to fill up the back line, inhale, and it finishes it off. I don't have to stretch. I don't have to strain. Now, when I release that pressure from the back, like the party favor, it's going to draw me back up. It's like a free ride home, right? And there I am. There's the other version. That's the yanking on one side and inhibiting the other. Let's show that little yanking inhibition, because I think you really can see a difference there. Hold on. Where is it? There we go. Okay. So here it is. Here's the yanking again, I think. No, that's not the yanking. There we go. Here's the yanking. Maybe. Nope, sorry, that's hydraulic system again. Emptying the front line. I'm going to fill up the back line. And you know what? I don't want to stretch. I don't want to strain. I want to go as far as it's easy to move. I want to go as far as the breath will take me in my pain-free range of motion, right? And once I get to the edge of that, I'll have my inhale and I'll pressurize. I'll go a little further usually. And then when I let that pressure out, it lifts me back up. But not only is it lifting me back up, it's clearing more fluid from those fascial planes. So the next time I go forward, I'm going to go forward with a lot more ease, and I'm going to go forward a lot. Usually you will gain a significant amount of range of motion with every new breath, because you're removing fluid from those fascial planes, from those fascial lines we saw in the other image. So here we go again. And so this one I think is the yanking one. Is it? I'm sorry. If I was more technically proficient. Nope, this is hydraulic system. This is just me showing that I got to the end of my breath or the end of my free range of motion. I'll fill up. And then as I let that pressure out, it lifts me back up. There's no slack in the system for you jujitsu people out there. That's very important. You never want slack in the system. Oh, sorry. This actually, oh, I wanted you to see the yanking. I'm sorry. There we go. Is this it? There we go. I think this is it. So here's yanking. And you're going to notice that there's a moment where I'm kind of pulling on things, right? Because I'm pulling on one side and lifting with and inhibiting the other. And now here I'm going to do this again. This one I think is going to take me into extension too. So there, I didn't even try to go all the way forward. Or maybe I just had to scratch, who knows. So here I'm going to empty the front line. Empty, 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 empty. I'm going to fill up. I let the breath take me as far. I'm happy. I'm content with wherever the breath takes me. And now as I let it out, I come back up to neutral. And now I'm going to exhale and I'm going to empty the top of my arms into the front of my shoulder socket. And that is what's going to lift my arms. And now I'm going to exhale and empty the back of my head and the back of my back all the way down to my feet. And when I get as far as I can go, I inhale up the back and let it push me backwards. Okay, and I think I'll do that again. Now I'm emptying the front line and it is pulling me forward. I'm going to fill up the front. Hands go to their end range. And now my fingers, everything has spiraled out of my body. Now everything is compressing back in, spiraling back in. And now I'm going to continue to relax the thumb side of the arm right into the top of the shoulder socket. When my arms get all the way up, I'm going to inhale and get a little lift. And now I'm going to empty down the back of my body and let that draw me backwards. When I get to the place, I'm going to inhale up the front and go further back. Not the greatest video, I know, trying to make something a little better, but I actually have a jiu-jitsu buddy who's going to help me make better videos. So I'm gonna do that for you right here, right now too, so you can see what that's like, and maybe we'll even take a look at side bending or rotation, which would be those side lines we saw in those images or the spiral lines. So, but basically, these fascial lines in the body are like the vinyl tubing of the hydraulic system. And our diaphragms are like the syringes, or the jellyfishes that are either creating increased pressure or vortices. Okay. So, try to do that again for you all. Let's see where's the best place for me to stand. Maybe here. This is good. Okay. So I'm going to inhale and I'm going to pressurize my system. Let me quiet that right down. So I'm going to pressurize. Now I'm letting the pressure out of my face. I'm relaxing my face, my neck, my chest, my abdomen. I'm exhaling into the front of my hip sockets. And then when I am as far as I can go, and I'm kind of stiff, so I'm going to empty here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to inhale and reach. And my hands compress into my wrists, compress into my elbows, into my shoulders, and I come up. I'm going to inhale, I'm going to pressurize my system again. I'm emptying the top of my arms, the thumb side of my arms, into the front of my shoulders. And as I empty there, my arms are lifted. Now I'm going to inhale and reach higher. Again, I'm going to empty the thumb side of my arms and into the front of my elbow creases and the front of my shoulders, the back of my head, neck, chest, back of my abdomen, back of my pelvis, back of my legs. When I'm all the way empty, I'm going to inhale up the front line. Now I'm emptying down the front again. There's a little trick I do at the top so that that will help lift me over the most difficult part, but I'm not gonna go into that now. But that is an introduction to your hydraulic system. I can do the same thing with side bending, with rotation, really with any movement of the body. If I want to lift something up, I'm more interested in relaxing the front of my elbow crease than yanking with my bicep. It is far more efficient because what makes a simple machine like a lever more efficient is the placement of the fulcrum. As we relax, we allow the articular surfaces of the bones to glide relative to each other. The body will always allow it to glide to the most appropriate place to provide you with optimal mechanical advantage if we actually induce motion inside the joint. So let me show you this with, and it's always best to actually feel this on my neck because you can also get a sense of the kind of structural integrity that I am able to achieve by using pressure change rather than using yanking, okay? And I know, Jill Leslie, you don't like yanking. I don't either. And so that's why I'm especially keen to have this little powwow with you. So, and anybody else, of course, who has a particular excitement around these topics. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just show you with moving the head really quick, and then I'm going to sign off. I know this is longer than an hour, but you know, we're not live or anything, so I'm just going to post this video, and always down to chat with any of you about this. I know I've been pretty unavailable for the past several weeks due to family things, but I still want to keep connecting with all of you as much as I can. I really love this community. So I'm going to first pressurize. So let me show you what it looks like. The way we normally think about turning the head is we think that this SCM, the sternocleidomastoid bone, remember it's attached to the sternum and the clavicle, and it's attached to the mastoid, right? So when I yank on it, right, when I shorten it, it is going to yank the mastoid closer to my sternum, right? When my autonomic nervous system detects that, it is going to inhibit this SCM. And there's some other things happening here, of course, with your scalenes and traps and stuff, but let's simplify it, right? So I'm going to yank this way with my sternocleidomastoid, and that inhibits this one. And when I go the other way, it does this. And this is my range of motion when I do that. I yank back and forth. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do right and left side breathing. Remember, I want to create more pressure on one side and less pressure on the other. So I'm going to do the right and left side. I'm going to start with the right side. Oh, and you know what? Let me use this little threshold behind me so that you can actually see that my body is going to be slightly displaced from the midline as I do this. So I'm going to pressurize one side. Now I'm emptying the right side. I'm emptying the face, the neck, the chest, the abdomen, the pelvis, and it's drawing my body to the right. Now that I'm all the way empty, I'm going to fill up the left side. And you can see that that displaced me further from the midline. As I let that pressure out, my body naturally, tidally goes back to the midline. Now I'm going to empty top to bottom on the left, relaxing my head, neck, chest, jaw, abdomen, pelvis, leg, etc. Now I'm going to inhale on the right. And it takes me a little side to side. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up that right side again. As I empty the right side, I feel this really subtle pulling, this drawing, that vortex effect, drawing my head to the right. And as I empty further, even though I'm just moving my neck, I'm emptying all the way down. Now I'm gonna inhale on the left. As I let that pressure out that pushed me to the right, it brings me back to neutral. Now I'm gonna empty the left. Now fill the right. Let me show you yanking again. Right? When I get to here, I feel tightness and pinching. Can I pull it further? I can pull it a little further, but I feel strain and discomfort. I don't want to feel that. Because what is that telling me? That's wear and tear on my tissues that I don't need. And now let me show you what side bending feels like. Now, again, if I want to fold up a part of the body, I need to let the pressure out. If I don't let the pressure out of that part of the body before I try to fold it up, it's like having a golf ball in a door hinge and trying to shut the door. You might, depending on the door, pop that door, you might, pop that golf ball, crack it, burst it. But in most cases, even a heavy fire door, what you're probably going to do is you're going to blast out the hinge, right? So you're pinching on, if I do this without letting pressure out, and most of the time that's okay, but if I do that, I will compress the pressure here, and I will overstretch. That's why we feel like we have to stretch something. We don't have to stretch, right? We can just relax and let the pressure out, and it will approximate almost by itself. It's very magical. So let me show you side bending. So I'm going to pressurize my right side. Now I'm relaxing my forehead, behind my eye, cheek, jaw, chin, neck. I'm going to keep emptying down my body. And as I continue to empty, my head can just fall to the side. I don't have to draw it. Now I'm going to inhale on the left side to go to the right. As I let that pressure up, draws my head back up. Now I'm going to empty the left side. Emptying down through the neck, the chest, the abdomen, the pelvis, the left leg. When I'm all the way empty, I'm going to inhale on the right, push my head to the left. Let me show you what side bending feels like if I don't release pressure from between the body parts. I'm going to disorganize my breathing with some lousy breaths. All right, let's show you side bending now. And you know what? The thing is, as I start to go, I feel everything pinching already. But I'm gonna try to do that. But let me show you what it is like with the pinching. I'm gonna respect the pinching, and I'm not gonna push through. So if I just try to yank, and I've yanked this way, and then I'm gonna yank the other way. Well, I'm already feeling resistance here, right? Now, if I jam through the resistance, what you're going to see is that my neck does not move segmentally anymore. It moves like a chunk. So here I am. Right here I am yanking and being very unhappy about it. All right. That was an introduction to this, like an introduction to the concepts of the hydraulic system. Virtually all of your motions can be generated this way. Do I walk around living this way 100% of the time? No, I wish. But you know what? If I go to pick something up at this point in my life, I will exhale, inhale, grab whatever it is and let the emptiness lift me back up, right? Because I don't want wear and tear on my connective tissue. If, but especially if I have some type of like I strained something or something, I am using that hydraulic system. And if I'm doing something like jujitsu, you betcha, because you use your hydraulic system, they're not just dealing with your arms or your legs. And as you can see, I am not a big person, right? I'm like 127 pounds, right? But they have to deal with that whole 127 pounds. And generally speaking, with the vast majority of people, I'm just dealing with their arms or their legs. I'm not dealing with their whole body. Maybe, I'm just not. I mean, they're bigger than me for sure, faster probably, but there and a lot of other things that that there are limitations on my physical structure that I have. But this is definitely significant that really levels the playing field. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was. I hope I made sense. Please let me know if you get a chance to watch it. Let me know in the comments. And then we can do this again, hopefully live with some people, and maybe actually do some more what I call, right now I'm calling it hydraulic yoga. I kind of like the name tidal yoga better, but I don't know if it really captures the sense that you actually have tubing and pumps, that we have a hydraulic system that is like ridiculously easy to use, and it is awesomely fun. So thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.